No Sunday school.
Here we are, the few, the proud. I'm glad you all are here.
And we're just the saved.
The saved.
That's right.
Standard schedule. But go ahead and open with this prayer. That's the right one. Right one's on the screen, it's not in my hand. Let us pray. Save us, Jesus, from hurrying away, because we do not wish to help, because we know not how to help, because we dare not. Inspire us to use our lives, serving one another. Amen.
I wonder where that is in that prayer book.
Okay?
I wonder where in the New Zealand prayer book that is.
I was wondering that too.
And I was wondering where my New Zealand prayer book was.
I used to have two. We had one at home and one here, and one of them is missing.
I used it for my Faith Alive graduation ceremony, the prayer book.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Henwood helped me set the service up. It was really nice. I love their verbiage.
Mm-hmm. So last week we talked about the whole thing was generosity and gratitude. And so I wonder, were there any valuable or helpful insights that emerged going through all of those
I couldn't
reflections?
remember any. I had a hard time remembering.
Well, I think we concluded last Sunday that they're very similar, right?
Generosity and gratitude or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or generosity comes from gratitude.
I don't think purposely we think about that much times when generosity or when we're thankful for something or someone like that. We have a tendency to remember the bad times more than the good times.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things we just do. We don't think of it as generosity or gratitude, it just is.
Right.
That's probably a little naive on my part, but I don't know.
Well, running through those
Well, I
questions.
think, I think if you are practicing gratitude, generosity will be readily at hand. And I think that's an interesting thing to keep in mind.
I always remember my parents, because my mom was a very loving person. And as Bev knows, she constantly told me how good I was. So Bev still...
Jim's perfect. In case you didn't know.
My father, it was interesting. He could never say, "I really love you." That just wasn't the way he was brought up. And so consequently, he could never say that. And so every once in a while, my mom would say, he really does love you. He really appreciates what you do, and he's really proud of what you do. But I got that from my mother, not from my father. That was always interesting.
I think that, your dad, my dad, a lot of our dads, that was just not what they did, and then we, for the most part, incorporate that into our lives too. The number of times that I think about telling my kids that I love them, so I'm more likely to say I'm proud of them than to say the four-letter word. Yeah. So I don't know if that's just gendered, if that's just a male thing, or if that's true with men and women both. I just don't know. But yeah, certainly.
I think it depends in part on the circumstances, but I do think it's probably more common among men, but that reminded me, in our family, we said, I love you all the time. Of course, my dad was not around after I was 12, but anyway, so it was all women. But I remember when I first met Rod's parents, and for a little while, I observed that his dad never said I love you. I don't know that I ever recall his mother saying it either, but I do remember that at some point his dad did start saying I love you, and it was just really, I mean, to me it was very touching. And so that every time when we went to visit them, as we left, his parents both gave him a hug and both of us and said that they loved us, and that was really, really neat. And Rod also has in turn always said, I love you to our son when we finish seeing him, when we get off the phone, whatever. And so it's now everybody's sharing I love yous, and I think it's neat.
Well, Bev's parents, they were great to me, and it was like, please take her off our hands.
Okay, my parents were not the touchy-feely, that kind of family. And I don't ever remember, and they may have when I was very little, but I don't remember them hugging me. And it was after we were married and we were leaving, and I went up and hugged my father. He had such a shocked look on his face. But from then on, it was okay, I could hug him.
And that's what got Rod's dad, now that you mention it, Rod initiated it.
Yeah.
He went to his dad and gave him a hug and said, I love you. And it was after that he reciprocated.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
And I think that all came up when it said, 3 people from your childhood.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
You think back about your parents and how they reacted to you and how you acted to your kids, so.
Yeah, with my 3 were relatives. The first 2, my mom and my dad, that was one line. And then the next line was my dad's mom and my dad's aunt, my favorite aunt, because we saw them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had a family friend he was the son of one of my mom's really good friends. He was also the music teacher at the elementary school, Larry Knaus, and he had MS, so he died very young. And but he was just fabulous. He was a great, he taught me piano and all that. And so he wasn't, family in terms of that love kind of thing, but he was kind and generous with his time and all of that. So maybe it was because his mom and my mom were friends.
That reminds me, I did have an uncle who was not the biological uncle, he married the aunt. But he was always a huggy, feely person, and it scared the shit out of me when I was about 10 or 12. Why are you doing that? Then of course, that's where I got the I want to hug you.
I had an uncle who ran an ice cream shop, and he always let me work in his shop, and I'd do the dishes. And my pay for working that evening for 4 hours was a hot fudge sundae. And that's where I developed my like for hot fudge sundaes. But, just the fact that he let me work, he became my favorite uncle.
Let you work, I love that.
Yeah. Well, you're a kid and you're working in an ice cream shop, pretty exciting.
There was a question in here, and I confused some things, so it's going to show up on later on, but it was a question from this last week, not going into the next week. So on the Tuesday one, which at least in my version is page 22.
Yep.
The middle paragraph, at its heart, when we share our money with others, we express our deepest values. To give financially says that we believe in what we're giving to. When we give to strangers, to someone who is struggling, to our church, to a family or friend or family member in need, to a community effort, or to a cause we're passionate about, we express our care and our desire to help others thrive. And I was just really struck by that phrase, that our generosity is directed, especially to a stranger, is directed at helping them thrive. I just find that such a fascinating word. I don't know if anybody else saw that or had any reaction to questions of thriving and generosity
Yeah, it's
relating to thriving.
reading that whole thing, and I'm just amazed at how big the Colorado Gives Day has gotten. I mean, everybody sends you something, you know, to remember Colorado
Don't
Gives
forget
Day
us,
on the
don't
ninth.
forget us.
And you can give early. And then, of course, after that, we got a couple of backs up. If you miss Colorado Gives Day,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still open, guys.
yeah, we're still open to receiving money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know who I give to. I don't give to everybody that asks,
No,
you know, and so I was thinking through this and thinking, oh, so that's my commitment to that particular cause and thriving.
driving, right.
Yeah, I never thought of it in terms of that word either.
And so I still sort of play with that every so often.
Well, we've been very supportive of St. Francis Center over the last few years, and I think as
2 decades, honey.
as well, yeah. But they just got announced that they're taking over one of the big facilities that the Salvation Army had actually monitored and been
Good.
in charge of. So,
Good luck to them, because we lost $3 million managing that facility, so there's a reason.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they do. Of course, they got the model over, you know, the 4 apartments. I'm not sure they can apply it here, but you know, it's an old, it's a huge
Hotel.
motel.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
reading about that. Any other thoughts on this last week of generosity and gratitude in the relationship between the two? Well, everybody, with the exception of Nancy, heard, and she'll hear it soon, the Common English Bible version of today's gospel. So I'm going to pass that. And I thought that today, because I've referred to it, Nadine has too, that we'll read the First Nations version of today's gospel. And so if anybody wants to just sort of start, and I took out in the text, for example, after it says gift of goodwill, there's a parenthetical thing that says John. I took out the parenthetical things. But, you know, gift of goodwill is John, creator sets free is Jesus, chosen one is the Messiah. So if somebody wants to go ahead and start, then we'll just do paragraph by paragraph.
From prison, Goodwill heard about the things the chosen one was doing. So he sent 2 of his followers to ask Creator sets free, are you the one we are waiting for? Or should we look for someone else?
Creator Sets Free told them, go back to Gift of Goodwill and tell him about the things you've seen with your own eyes and heard with your own ears. The blind can see again, the lame can walk, the ones with skin disease have been cleansed. Ears that cannot hear have been opened, and the dead have come back to life again, and the poor are being told the good story. Creator's blessing and goodwill rest on the one who does not stumble and leave the path because of me.
When the messenger left, Creator Sets Free spoke to the people about gift of goodwill. What were you looking for in the desert wilderness? A frail reed blowing in the wind? Did you see a man in soft clothes? Behold, the ones who wear soft clothes live soft lives. Were you looking for a true prophet? Yes, he is a true prophet, but also much more. He is the one spoken of in the sacred teachings. Look, I'm sending my messenger ahead of you. He will clear the path before you.
I speak from my heart, gift of goodwill, who performed the purification ceremony is a true human being. No one born of a woman has ever been greater, but now the smallest one who walks Creator's good road from above is greater than he.
So were there words or phrases that stood out for you? And some of them may just because of the story, some of them may be because of the translation and gives you sort of a fresh perspective. I can go back to the previous screen if you want me to.
The smallest one who walks the Creator's good road was very interesting. I should say good road from above.
So say more.
Well, it's just, we understand the least sort of valuable person who believes in Christ and eventually, does that, lives that lifestyle, is greater than even John the Baptist. And the smallest one who walks the Creator's good road is much easier to accept.
Much easier to stomach?
Easier to accept. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah. Just,
I don't know, as you were saying that, the only thing I was thinking of, maybe that's the reason that a lot of very rich people have decided, I'm going to give away half of my fortune to charity when I die.
Only half, huh?
And only when he dies.
Only when you die.
When we're done with it.
Yeah.
Well, whittled it down. Oh, cynicism.
but the one such a rich person may never know this, in this world, in this statement, would be greater. If he was just trying to do, or she was just trying to do what God wanted them to do. Yeah.
When you reread that the smallest one who walks Creator's good road from above, and all of a sudden my mind went away from humans and to small creatures. And so therefore who live the life that they were sort of created to live, which would be the ideal for walking the Creator's good road. Even the smallest one who does that is greater than among women. No one is greater than John, one of women. And so I was immediately, thinking of voles and crickets, pikas and snakes and all those kinds of things. And I thought, that's an interesting insight.
Yeah.
And they've been on Earth longer than we.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking an example of this would be a woman from Puerto Rico that I met in Rochester, who was trying to earn a GED offered in New York that is based on not your ability to do an ABCD test, but your ability to meet certain criteria, like being able to, and the main criteria that she met all the others, but she could not sit down and write an essay, 2 pages on a topic, and have few enough, she could have some mistakes, but there was a limit, and she'd written it twice, and she had only one more time, and I was the one judging. And I so wanted her to finish, and I was so angry with her if she was going to mess up. And I had this, so I was sitting in the room, and I was doing something else, because, and I looked out at one point, and I thought, well, it was just one of those God moments, but I realized that this was Christ. This was the Christ, in this world now. And I went, well, I think I need to reframe my thinking.
Did you pass?
She did, thank heavens, and I didn't have to cheat for her. So.
had 4 dogs. The first dog we got, we named Hope, because we were having so much trouble between us and the kids.
We had 2
And,
teenagers.
the kids could be mad at us, we'd be mad at the kids, but nobody could get mad at the dog. Yeah. And so the dog kind of brought the family together, but I always remember, I held the three that we've put away, and I always held them when they've injected them at the end when they were in so much pain that the best thing we could do was let them go. But the third one, she had been abused, we knew really bad when we got her. And she couldn't come up and, she couldn't lay on our laps or anything like that because she was afraid to. But I know when she passed away, I was holding her. And the veterinarian walked in and there was just tears running down my face as I was holding her, and she looked at me and she said, I think I'll give you a few more minutes. But, I mean, I guess that really gets me. I mean, it's just shocking when they give them the shot. I mean, they're gone in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's,
Unless you have a ornery cat that's dehydrated and it takes like 5 shots and 45 minutes for them to go.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, by the way, that Puerto Rican woman was probably the most Christian person I ever had met up to that.
So one of the other questions that we ask is, how does this passage relate to generosity, or can you see that in this passage of John in prison and his disciples going to him and saying, what are we supposed to do? Maybe we better go see Jesus, and then asking Jesus, are you the one? Is there something generous about that passage?
Well, there's a generosity on the part that are going to carry this final question of John the Baptist to Jesus to settle. It's kind of the final business for him. But did I accomplish anything?
Yeah.
Did it mean anything? That's generous. His answer is tremendously generous.
Jesus' answer,
Yeah.
tell him what you've seen.
Well, no, I think that's code.
Yeah.
He says, you couldn't very well say with people looking over your shoulder, yeah, buddy, I'm the Messiah. But he could say all these things that the people looking over his shoulders may never have read Isaiah and would not know that this, he could do that. And wouldn't affect the carrier of the message or the receipt. But, so that's generous. But what he's, that he is the greatest prophet would be, I think, very helpful to John.
He's the one spoken of in the sacred teachings. Looking, I'm sending you a messenger ahead of you. He'll clear the path.
Yeah. So to give John the gift of knowing, okay, I'm in prison, who knows what the future is, but at least I did my job.
Yeah, I think it helps to know that you did it.
And in this version, that's not up there anymore.
Oh.
That's okay.
There we
It's
go.
okay.
Now it is.
But John, interesting. John is called gift of goodwill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that a fair translation of John out of Hebrew?
No, I don't. I didn't look to see what Yochanan means. Somebody who wants to Google that right now could, but I did not look that one up.
well, for me, the generosity comes in, this message is for everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're rich, you're poor, male, female, it's a message for everyone. That's very generous.
It means God is gracious.
So, there you go. Pretty good. Works as a translation, gift of goodwill, so God is gracious. Yeshua is God saves, sets free. So we have that one as well. Creator's that's true. Look, any other thoughts? Go ahead.
You know, that any one of us who tries to walk the path that was suggested by Jesus would be greater than John. That's very generous.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, poor John, right, stuck right in the middle of two, he's a fulcrum point, right? And that's sort of made clear here, but he can't have been on the other side of the fulcrum, because that's just the nature of fulcrums. You can only, you can be the point from one side or the other.
Like Abraham custom the promised land.
Right. So moving into this coming week, transformative generosity, and so Wendy Claire Berry, I don't know who she is, she starts this with the Magnificat, which if you're hanging around, you're going to hear in a few minutes.
You may have already heard it.
Yeah, I imagine most people have heard it at least once. So again, somebody start us off reading there.
My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. For he has looked with favor on the lowly state of his servant. Surely from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name.
The Lord. Indeed, his mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. Oh, okay. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the mighty from their thrones and exalted those of humble estate. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, and as he spoke to our forefathers, to Abraham and to his offspring forever.
For as long as I can remember, I have loved Mary, the mother of Jesus. The Christmas Eve that I was 5, I came home from church, made my little brother put on his bathrobe, plopped a dish towel on top of his head, and brought him into the living room, where I draped a crocheted afghan over my own head, swaddled my doll in a flannel blanket, and laid her on a sofa cushion between us. Before I understood Mary's song, I knew that hers was a story I would want to hear and tell again and again.
In time, I learned to sing and pray Mary's song, the Magnificat. It became foundational to my faith, and I no longer recognized Mary of the Christmas cards and carols, meek and mild. Instead, I saw a young woman of exuberance and courage. The Magnificat is at once deeply personal and undeniably communal. She gives thanks to God for the upside-down blessing given to her, that she, young, poor, unmarried, will be the mother of God's own child, and for God's transforming love and power. To magnify is to enlarge, and that is what Mary's song challenges us to do, to enlarge our vision of who is blessed, of whom God acts in and through. I'll stop there, that's kind of a long paragraph.
Mary emboldens us to look beyond what is and see what God intends. The world as it should be, a world of justice and mercy, infused with hope. There's no gentle lullaby, but a fierce anthem. And it seems to me that Mary's song shows us Jesus is every bit his mother's son as he is his father's. In gratitude and in anticipation, may we join in her song and in the good, long work God gives us of turning this world around, one right action at a time. thoughts or reactions before I go into the questions that I developed for this. But, so I heard things in this, listening to it rather than just reading it.
The part about Jesus being every bit his mother's son as his father's, I don't think I really heard that kind of reflection on the Magnificat.
A world of justice and mercy infused with hope.
To your point, Nancy, I remember, the question, the argument that about virgin birth, goes on and on and on and on and on. It has been going on for a long time. And somebody at some point reminded me or told me, I guess it was the first time around, was that the early theologians weren't so concerned about who Mary's, or who Jesus' mother was. They were concerned about who Jesus' father was. So the issues that we get all exorcised about in terms of virgin birth and can that be, they didn't care about that. That was not what they were trying to, but then to hear this, every bit her son as the father's son shines a different light on it, not to take away from the nature of that early argument, but it certainly does shine a different light on it. And reminds us of the nature of the incarnation, what the incarnation is. That there's this fleshly part, and the early Christians were clear that Jesus was fully human, and they argued against anything that was going to take away from that complete and full humanity. Say more about what you picked up on, Jim. Justice and...
Yeah, I don't know, that just hit me when I heard it read. I guess it hit me because, again, going back to what I said earlier, I think it's a world of justice and mercy infused with hope for all.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm a little lost. In the scheme of the life of Jesus, where does this
So
come in? Is
it's,
it at the end of his
no.
life?
So this is Luke 2.
Yeah.
This is where Mary goes to Elizabeth.
It says,
And
before
Jesus is
died.
born. She knows that she's going to bear,
Okay, okay.
So that this hymn happens before he's even born. Just that she knows that she's going to be a mom.
So this is all the stuff from the Old Testament then?
No.
Well, how was she? Okay, never mind.
No,
go
go
ahead.
on.
Well, how is she supposed to know this? I mean, yes, this is a miracle.
She's
Yes.
talked to an angel.
Gabriel came and told
Yeah,
her.
but did he tell her all this?
No. But what I think is going on, I mean, a teenage girl
Yeah.
in Galilee or anywhere else in the Roman world was not worth kicking.
No, I got that part, yeah.
And here she is saying, oh my gosh, I will bear this child. And that turns the world on its head.
But nobody else hears it, just she and Elizabeth.
Elizabeth,
Well, we all do.
Eventually, yes.
And somebody else who told Luke.
Yeah, somebody had to.
Well, Mary told
Scribe
Luke
it down.
that if you believe her. But so has looked with favor on the lowly state of his servant, and the lowest of a male servant couldn't have been as low as a female. I mean, it just was. And they'll call me blessed. The Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. She also is somebody who apparently, even though she's probably trained not to, finally realizes her own worth in this. get too feminist.
Well, the question, one of the questions I have up here, where all does Mary fit in your personal spirituality? I mean, you put a bunch of people into a room and ask them that, who use this sort of Marian theology, it could go in a lot of different directions. Some people look at the Song of Mary and see it as this big, defiant social commentary, and others will point out that no, it's not really that. They interpret it differently as it's not meant that anything is that you're supposed to do anything or that Mary's supposed to do anything. It's all of that. And then there's the other side. You think of the devotion known as the Angelus that Catholics pray at noon, and it starts out, the angel announced to Mary that she would bear a child, and Hail Mary, full of grace, blah, blah, blah. And the second line of that is, let it be to your, depending on the translation, your handmaid. Let it be to, and so there's a sense too of the idea that Mary is the sort of the exemplar of being a servant, of being a willing servant. So it can spin in a lot of different ways. I just.
And I think it's both. But
I do too.
I think the church preferred the meek and mild.
Forever. I love, so what it sort of says to me is that she's so brilliant that she's like having these thoughts out loud, and it's like, wow. So if he's coming to me in this way, so he's done great things for me, and he's holy. Wow, that means if she's like reflecting on it, so he's scattering the proud in their imagination. He's taking care of the poor. He's taking care of me, and making that switch and the justice and everything. And it's like, wow, that's all part of the awesomeness of it. And yet she is holy, meek, and mild too, but very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I kind of sit in the middle of those two different things.
I won't say one of my favorite hymns, but a hymn that I love whenever we get to sing it is, I like it for two reasons. I like the tune, which is Tysk, T-Y-S-K, this Swedish or something too. And the text that's set to it is, God himself is with us. And one of the verses begins, let my soul like Mary be thine earthly sanctuary. And I find that to be, that's that servant side of saying, yeah, you can dwell here. And it might even go on to say, come and dwell in this. I'm going to look it up. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
This all comes on as very positive. I think when you're very positive, you pass that on to your child. And if you pass it on to your child, then the child can be very positive.
And yet it's also, to me, just really amazing that she could have all of those feelings in light of the fact that she's the loneliest,
Right.
that she's a teenager who's pregnant, who...
Not married.
How did that happen? Exactly, she's in worlds of hurt here.
And I guess something that stands out for me in both of those things is that I imagine her keeping her head high throughout that pregnancy and not just, being
Yeah.
ashamed of her condition,
Right.
but embracing and understanding how powerful that is.
I really like that, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the verse in this hymn, it's the last verse of the 4 verses of the hymn. So you've already sung God himself is with us, and we offer to be God's, and you pervade all things. And then the last verse comes in, come abide within me. Let my soul like Mary be thine earthly sanctuary. Come, indwelling spirit, with transfiguring splendor. if you were Mary, can you walk with your head held high, transfigured? Love and honor will I render, where I go here below, let me bow before thee, know thee, and adore thee.
It's one of the most beautiful poems.
Oh, it's stunning.
When can we sing that? What season of the year?
What number was it? It looked like it was far in the back.
475.
Oh, so kind of general.
Yeah, what was it? I'll tell you what category it came under. You can say it anytime you want to sing about Mary, certainly.
And you can suggest to the choir director that we sing it.
Yeah, it's in the section called Jesus Christ our Lord. It is a great poem by Gerhard Tersteegen,
Oh,
one of them pietist types.
It would have been very appropriate for today.
What's that?
I said it would have been very appropriate for today.
Yeah. Other thoughts? We got about 5 minutes. Again, that last one was from the previous week.
I'm just trying to imagine, as Jesus, as they say, a 7-year-old is beginning to realize that, there's injustice out there or whatever, coming into his mom and saying, this happened, how she would explain what's going on. That would be,
There are those apocryphal stories, of course, about
yes.
Jesus with other kids.
I know. You can just get rid of them.
Don't like you, bye.
Yeah, and that's why they're not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a different world today. I mean, I remember when I was going through school, the worst thing that could happen to you is you got into a fist fight with somebody and you recovered. Today, somebody pulls out a gun.
They shoot you.
Well, I don't know, and I went to Byers Junior High for 1 year because, long story, but my favorite person was this guy in a leather jacket with his Fonzie. Well, basically, yeah, and he got thrown out of school because he had a switchblade in his locker, so I don't know that it was that innocent that far back. It wasn't. That's what I guess I'm saying.
Yeah, just think of those guys in the Sharks and the Jets. They're teenagers, where
It wasn't easy then, and those gangs still roam. But I don't know.
Any other thoughts on Mary? Any other thoughts on Mary and generosity? We didn't really explore that, but for generosity for Mary to say, "Oh yeah, here I am."
Yeah.
Well, she received generosity. But there's not really much about her, being able to give, but apparently she did.
Yeah, okay, but I'm just saying that in saying yes, is that an act of generosity? Say, you want to do this? Okay.
I'm sure it wasn't that fast. I mean, come on. Yes, she was betrothed, but still. She had, even with the angel coming to talk to her, I'm sure she had to sit there and think, holy shit, what did I get into? Okay.
But on the other hand, we talked about how she held her head high
Yeah.
and approached this very positively, where she could have really got discouraged. And what happened here, and why did this happen, and she didn't do that. She just accepted it and moved on. So I think that's a fabulous form of generosity.
Well, it's fun to play these what ifs, how did all this happen, and Nadine, you look like you want to say something.
Oh, no, I was just looking ahead at the Monday, the little piece before the reflection. To magnify is to enlarge, and that is what Mary's song challenges us to do, to enlarge our I like this, to enlarge our vision of who is blessed, of whom God acts in and through. And I was thinking here this week, a little bit more than a week before Christmas, when a lot of people are walking around, are starting to get anxious about things, not Christmas is upon us, still so much to do, blah, 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 getting, caught up in all of that. And I think it's interesting to have hospitality be a theme, because it's not necessarily easy to think hospitality when you're busy focused on getting all these things done in this last week. And yet it's there's so many little things that could be done to show hospitality.
My daughter said something to me this week that really, I thought, was pretty impressive for me. And I said, with all the expenses we've had between you and your son, we're not going to have as many presents this year. And she said, the presents aren't all that important. It's just being together as a family. And I thought, that was interesting.
Well, let's close with prayer with which we began. Save us, Jesus, from hurrying away, because we do not wish to help, because we know not how to help, because we dare not. Inspire us to use our lives, serving one another. Amen.
Could you repeat the name of the woman who wrote that reflection on Mary? It was Carrie somebody?
Yeah,
Wendy Claire Berry.
Wendy Claire.
When you go out there, there might be a copy of the sermon out there, in there. You had your sermon this morning, didn't you?
yeah, it may be out there, but I don't know if I quoted her.
I don't think her name was on
Wasn't
there.
it? Okay, I thought it was. Wait a minute,
There was a
name
quote
of the book?
on a slide that I wish I had
No, it's
kept.
the other book.
Oh,
another
that's the
book.
Oh, okay,
Wendy Claire Berry.
yeah, but that's not,
That was different.
I can get to it.
And she's a priest, right?
I don't know,
She's
it
a
may say in the
theologian.
introductory material.
I think it says somewhere in the beginning of this thing.
Yeah, there was her bio, yeah.
We'll take a minute to put the tables back.
What tables? Oh, those?
Page 4. This is more about her.
That quote?
Yes.
Oh, I can.
Oh, darn, I don't have my phone.
I'll send it to you.
Would you please?
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I have that.
Jordan B. Peterson. That's the name of who wrote it. Yeah, I was looking for something with, cynicism and I forget what the other search item this one came up. Okay, I'll use it.